Good afternoon, everyone. Nemo and Imasuen Amowie Izoduwa, Obiwa, a very patriotic Benin song. I want to talk about two specific issues. One is about the issues of His Royal Majesty, and the second one borders on the issues of creation of states, whether the parcellation of some part of Edo South Senatorial District as well as Edo North Senatorial District. These are the two issues I wish to address. But before then, I want to first and foremost want to do a very big shout out to our people who currently faced very bad incidents at Ogede and Iyanomo by the onslaught of the Nigeria military personnel where properties were destroyed. I want to appreciate those who stood firmly for the Ogede people and the Iyanomo people. May God and our ancestors continue to bless you people. And together we'll begin to make the Benin society a just, fair, and credible society like it was in the days of the old. Let me now go to the two issues that I want to talk about. The first is, I have been bombarded with a lot of calls for about 3 weeks to 4 weeks now, wherefore a lot of people believe that why is another king in Edo land bearing his royal majesty? The word His Royal Majesty is a colonial ideology. It is Western imperialism. It is not a cultural historical ideology. It is not the ideology of the foundation of this land. So I don't think anybody should be bemused by such issues. These issues, for me, personally speaking, is quite very relevant in building the society of the Benin. I have traveled to quite a whole lot of people in search of our descendants within the South-South geopolitical zones and Southwest geopolitical zones as well. Wherefore, there are some kings that bear His Imperial Majesty. For example, the Ooni of Ife bears His Imperial Majesty. The paramount king of the Ekpeye people, called the Eze Ekpeye Logbo, also bear His Imperial Majesty. By the colonial ordination, it seems like His Imperial Majesty is higher than His Royal Majesty, but that does not mean the Ooni of Ife, with all due respect to him, or the Eze Ekpeye Logbo, has a higher traditional position. I'm not talking about the colonial positions or the political structure the British organized for a place now called Nigeria, where you now have kings being ranked politically instead of the traditions. As far as sub-Saharan Africa is concerned, the Oba of Benin still remains the most paramount king in sub-Saharan Africa, with all due respect to every other king. That is because we say that based on history that the Obas of Benin have commanded in the time past, the legacies that is beholded in the past, the cultural values, everything, the traditional norms of this land has put the Oba of Benin, that names that are created by the British or the colonial rulers cannot now surmount the history that the Edo people has once had. So this is about legacy. It has nothing to do with names. So His Royal Majesty, anybody bearing His Royal Majesty, it is at the behest of their own understanding of what they believe that they want to be addressed as. And don't also forget that Obaiweka of blessed memory and Oba Akenzwa, the second of blessed memory, both were addressed as His Royal Highness. It doesn't make them less of a king when they be addressed as such. These are appellations, these are words that are instituted in the DNA of our cultural values and our historical legacies. And that's what we should be concerned about. And I have said by law, I have tried to make our people understand by law, anybody can choose what they wish to be addressed as far as they are not within the Edo South Senatorial District. Wherefore, the law protects the right of the Oba of Benin. So anybody who wishes to bear His Royal Majesty or His Imperial Majesty in Edo Central Senatorial District is very free, or she is very free. I don't think it surmounts the legacies of the Obas of Benin, surmounts the greatness of the Obas of Benin. So anybody wishes to bear His Royal Majesty or His Imperial Majesty in Edo North Senatorial District, they are very at free will can't be able to address themselves as such. It is not in our ways for which to continually delve into the matters that doesn't really concern us. What we know, we understand that when it comes to the history, nobody has commanded so much history and legacy as the Obas of Benin, and that is what we should. We shouldn't bring the name of the palace of the Oba of Benin into such trivial matters. Those matters are, to me, are inconsequential and quite very relevant to how do we develop what we now call Edo South Senatorial District. These are issues that we are supposed to present to our people. These are issues that are supposed to be at the front burner of conversation. So putting the Oba of Benin in that kind of conversations reduces what he represents, the institution that he represents. And as such, I will advise our people to rather we should focus on more important issues other than issues of who bears His Royal Majesty. I can also be the Royal Majesty of my wife's heart. Anybody can bear His Royal Majesty. In short, in places where kings are being bought, notably in the, with all due respect, in the eastern region parts of Nigeria, where you can actually buy kingship, these people bear His Royal Majesty. Anybody can actually, with the way Nigeria have been crafted, if you're very positional and you have influence and you have money, you could buy kingship and you'll be addressed as His Royal Majesty. It doesn't mean you have to be equated. What really matters in kingship is the history that protects the institution, is the history, the legacy that the institution have commanded. That's what matters. Not a colonial ideology, not British imperialism, like words like His Royal Majesty, His Royal Highness, His Imperial Majesty. That is not in Edo orthography. So they shouldn't be what we should worry about. So that is the first issue that I said I was going to address. The second issue that I want to address is the issue of people are very observant that some part of Edo South is being designated to be caught and join the Anioma state, while some part will be caught and join Tori-Obe state and all of that. An excerpt of the video is going to play on the constitutional requirement before a state is being created. It's a cumbersome process. It's almost impossible for anybody to cut any part of Edo State without the senator representing Edo South getting involved, without the House of Rep representing the area in question getting involved. The council chairman has to get involved. Even the Oba of Benin will have to get involved. And the people in those areas will have to vote to third majority. So I'm going to play the constitutional requirement and you will discover that nobody can just follow the back and go and cut any part of Edo State without following through this very cumbersome, expensive process.
Nigeria, like many other countries, outlines a rigorous procedure for the creation of new states or local government areas in its constitution. Section 8 of the 1999 Constitution provides an answer to this question when it says in subsection 1, an act of the National Assembly for the purpose of creating a new state shall only be passed if a request supported by at least 2/3 majority of members representing the area demanding the creation of the new state in each of the following, namely 1. The Senate and the House of Representatives, 2. The House of Assembly in respect of the area, and 3. The local government councils in respect of the area is received by the National Assembly. B. A proposal for the creation of the state is approved in a referendum by at least a 2/3 majority of the people of the area where the demand for the creation of the state originated. C. The result of the referendum is then approved by a simple majority of all the states of the Federation, supported by a simple majority of members of the Houses of Assembly, and D. The proposal is approved by resolution passed by a 2/3 majority of members of each House of the National Assembly.
And again, I also saw the advocacy that why can't Edo State be splitted into multiple states or so, which is very realistic. I want to give statistics. For example, the Edo South Senatorial District, which is called Benin Kingdom today, deserves to be a full state of its own. Ovia Southwest, which is the largest local government in Edo State, is 2,803 square kilometers, which in terms of size is bigger than the 5 local governments of Edo Central, which is 2,779. square kilometers. Edo South Senatorial District of the 7 local government that makes Edo, when you add those numbers together, it will give you a total number of 9,772 square kilometers, which is bigger than any state in southeastern region, including Enugu State, which is the biggest state by size in the southeast. It's bigger than Akwa Ibom State, it's bigger than Lagos State, it's bigger than Ekiti State. And again, the two of Ovia Southwest, only the two of Ovia Southwest, when combined together, is bigger than Lagos State and is bigger than Anambra State. Edo South having a cumulative number of 9,772 square kilometers qualifies us to be larger than 8 states, including Federal Capital Territory. So it qualifies us to be a state. And if our brothers in Edo Central and Afema, Edo North Senatorial District, also say they want to form a state, it's also good for them to form a state. Edo State is too big. We should also support our brothers to realize their own state while also realizing our states. We are more than big enough with the statistics that are quoted to have our states to ourselves. So without having to spill bad bloods and having to go through it in a negative way. So I think there should be leaders of thought ideas, everybody coming together and understanding that how do we go about these things, and we can all come together collectively, because there is no way a section of the state can be able to break away from the other section of the state without the other section of the state agreeing to, because the constitutional requirement is quite very cumbersome. So the entire 3 senatorial district has to come together and have to agree on how the formulations of creation of 2 states or 3 states from Edo State can be formed, which I totally agree for the advocacy of our Esan brothers. We can still identify our ancestral connections while we are on different states or while we are from different states. People in Rivers State today agree to the ancestral root in Edo State. People in Bayelsa, people in Delta, even people in faraway Ghana identify the ancestral root to be to Edo State without having to be in the same state. Edo remains one, not in terms of when we say Edo remains one, it means that it remains one by ancestral filial connection, not the colonial demarcation on the constitutional demarcation of the creations of states. We can always be one, even if we now live in different states. And that is my conclusion of this part. So I'll continue to bring other sections of issues that concern Edo State, most especially Benin Kingdom, where we look at empirical fact and we spill out truth and be able to inspire people and be able to understand that the Benins have to understand that unity of purpose is what will drive the Benin nation to be great again. So I appreciate all of you and I thank all of you. And lastly, as it is required for every true patriot Benin sons, Obara Tokbe is said.